In this lesson, we'll create an FPV drone chassis layout. After completing this lesson, you'll be able to apply a tangent constraint and override a persistent constraint. We're going to carry on with the file from our previous example. We're going to edit our sketch frame base shape. Now that we have the location of the motor, we're not going to worry about the pattern for bolting a motor down just yet. We're going to take care of all of the removal of geometry in another sketch. In this sketch, we want to focus on the creation of geometry. Now, as a machinist, or as somebody who's going to be programming, in this case, a Waterjet machine or a CNC machine or whatever the case might be, it is important that we understand how to model some of this geometry. There are often times when you need to make changes to a file just to make it easier to manufacture, or even simply create the geometry completely from scratch. So it's important that you're familiar with the basics of creating a parametric model and where we can go back to make some modifications. Now, throughout this file, we're going to be renaming our features and sketches, and it's going to help us organize things and know where we have to go to make some changes. Not all files will be completely set up like that. Not everybody's going to rename sketches or features, so you will have to do some digging, and we'll talk about that as well. But let's get started by editing this sketch and create some more construction lines. Now, in the sketch palette, we have the construction option, which allows us to select a line and convert it to or from construction. We can also use the X key on the keyboard to convert to and from construction. But if we pre-select it and we start sketching, for instance, pressing L on the keyboard, we can start sketching lines that are construction. You see that? Hit escape, and the line that we created is construction. We'll go ahead and hit L again, and we'll create a horizontal line from the origin and hit escape, and we created again a construction line. So if you're going to be creating a lot of construction geometry to start with, it can be helpful to turn that option on, but remember that you need to turn it off to start constructing regular geometry, or to start sketching lines and circles and stuff like that that can be used for extrudes and removing material as well. So now that we have some basic lines set up, we're going to go ahead and press L again, and we're going to draw a horizontal line, and then we're going to come up here and connect to the circle, and we're going to hit escape to get off of the line tool. Whenever you add a dimension and fully define something with constraints, the blue lines will turn to black. So right now, these lines are free to move about. This one automatically has a perpendicular reference based on how it was sketched. If we start sketching a line and we want to override that, we can hold down the control key, and we can get past that perpendicular constraint or vertical or horizontal it's trying to automatically apply. But you can see that it'll snap there and it'll put the perpendicular constraint showing us 90 degrees in that corner. But for us, that's okay. We want this line to be horizontal, but we want to make sure that this and this line here have a tangency. So I like to use that right-click menu because it's very easy to get to, but you can also go over to the sketch palette and go to constraints and either turn them on or off. And what I mean by that is we can pre-select a constraint such as tangency, and we can go ahead and select the entities that we want to make tangent and then apply it on the screen. So just keep that in mind. There are various ways that we can do this. From here, let's apply a few dimensions. D on the keyboard, I'm going to dimension this vertical construction line, and I'm going to make it 75 millimeters. I then am going to make this 25 millimeters wide, and notice that now the lines have turned black because they are fully defined. This horizontal line starts at 75 millimeters below the origin in the Z direction, and this one is 25 wide with a perpendicular constraint. This one has a perpendicular constraint with this, and this one has a horizontal constraint with there. So now we're fully defined. We have tangency here. We can carry on sketching from this section over here. So we're going to just simply come out, and we're going to go up, and we're going to hit escape. So now we want to apply a few more dimensions and constraints. I'm going to take this point, control select the origin, and I want to apply a vertical horizontal. So this means that this point at the end of this line will stay horizontal with the origin. That means that I can still move it left and right, I can extend it, or I can shrink it down, but it's going to stay on that x-axis. We then want to add a tangency between this circle and this line. Again, I like to right click, hit tangent, and now we have that tangency, which means that as we roll around, you can see that that line is going to move with it. Now we simply have to define our angles and our distances that we want to use. So let's go ahead and again press D on the keyboard. We're going to dimension out 50 millimeters, and then we simply need to give this a dimension here, and we'll say 20. So that's going to fully define this corner here for us. I'm going to take these lines and we're going to take them and we're going to create a mirror of them. But again, what I like to do is stop my sketch and save the file. Now we don't actually have to stop the sketch to save the file, but it's always a good idea to exit the sketch, save the file if you're going to stop and continue on at a later date. So let's go ahead and save your file at the same time and we can carry on with the next step.